الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So, today we are honored and we are blessed to have Dr. Ali Sheikhleh, mashallah, for tonight's event of preparing our households for academic success, inshallah. So, just to introduce him a little bit, Dr. Ali is a distinguished academic leader, researcher, educator with extensive experience in educational reform. He holds a PhD in applied mathematics and multiple master's degrees from the University of Oklahoma, An-Najah University and National University, and Birzeit University in Palestine. Dr. Sheikhleh also has several professional certificates, including the Chief Academic Officer Certificate from the American Academic Leadership Institute. He currently is the Associate Provost for Faculty and Research and the Dean of the Graduate School at UNT, University of North Texas at Dallas. Additionally, he is a tenured professor of mathematics and secondary education. Dr. Sheikhleh has led numerous strategic initiatives, received various awards, and made significant contributions to academia through research, publications, conference presentations, and curriculum development. His work has substantially impacted his university and the broader educational community. On a personal note, Dr. Ali, mashallah, his son, he comes to many of the halaqat, many of the events we have here, mashallah. So not only does he have all those credentials we just mentioned, he is a member of our community, a dedicated, invested, passionate member of our community who has on multiple occasions been there for us, given us advice, and we are excited to have you here, Dr. Ali. So take it away, inshallah. Barakallah feek.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Shahir. Inshallah, I will the plan is to spend 10 to 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at the most, talk about generic points. And then after that, we will open for discussion. So the topic today is about preparing our household for academic success. So we'll talk first about what is success, then what is academic success, and then we'll open the questions about, inshallah, the floor for questions about specifics that you may have. Please, if you have a cell phone, turn it off or make it silent so everybody will inshallah, hear us. Okay, what is success? I want especially the students to answer me. What is success? إيش النجاح يعني للعرب؟ شو يعني what's success? How do you measure if somebody is successful? General, not academic. What is success? What is success? Go ahead. Raise your voice.
That person is good at what they do.
Say it again.
That person is good at what they do.
Good at what they do. Okay. Success, in fact, is first for us as Muslims. Success, inshallah, is entering the Firdaus al-A'la. We're talking about success in the dunya and the hereafter. But in dunya, success is achieving goals that are aligned with your values. Values, what do we value? For example, if my goal is to be successful, is success for me just having money? Then that's success, if that's my value. If success for me is to be educated and good Muslim citizen, then I achieve that, that's a success. So it's achieving the goal that is aligned with your values, the way you want to live. قيم يعني بالعربي. Okay, next, let's talk about academic success. What is academic success? I didn't come to lecture. I thought, he told me, Sheikh Shahir, that everybody here will be participating and I don't even have to talk. What is academic success? How do you judge if you are successful in academia or if you are successful in your school? I want the kids, the students. Say it again. Pass your exams, okay. Okay, part of it.
Try to get your best grades in all your subjects.
Best grades, okay. Anything else?
Being able to teach what you learn.
All right, being able to teach this is very important. So academic success has so many things, but many points that probably most of us ignore is what we call the core, basically the core of all the education, is really critical thinking, how you think, problem solving, communication. That's the whole point of education, specifically at the undergraduate level. If you have a degree, undergraduate degree, no matter what it is, I expect you to be a thinker, a problem solver, and also then the content, team worker, communication. This is what we call core competencies. And then the content. Regardless of your degree, if you can't communicate among the teams, then it's not going to be good for you. You are not going to be able to find a job. So academic, and this is small, sorry. So academic success, just to summarize it for all of us here, it's a mastery of subject. For example, if your major is mathematics, you need to know mathematics for sure, no question about that. But also critical thinking, problem solving, communication and teamwork, preparedness for a future education and career. If the education, you have to be realistic. If this education and success does not bring you a decent life and a good job, then you are not realistic. And that's what I advise all students when they choose a major. You have to be realistic. You need a major that is good, will train you to get a good job, inshallah, and halal, right? That's what you need to do. When you think about success, that's what success is, right? And remember, when we talk about success, has to be aligned with your values, like with you as a Muslim, for example. Is it my goal to have only money or to be educated or make salah and all this stuff, right? So that's what academic success, not just good grades. And I'll tell you also, I don't want to go further, but it's no longer about the grades and even about certificates. There are so many people, and probably you know some, that they have PhD, they can't find a job. So many. Or bachelors can't find a job. It's no longer about you have a degree. Do you have the knowledge? Do you know how to think? Do you know how to communicate? Done. If you don't, it doesn't matter how many this degree that you're putting on the wall, it's worthless. I said this before here. At one time, years ago, we revamped our programs at the university. So we're meeting with industry leaders. So I asked them, what do you want in our graduate, for example, in computer science, or in our graduate in engineering, or in math? One of them told me, we no longer trust the transcript. We test them before we hire them. Because now, specifically students can talk to them about this. You may get pass a course with A, and you don't understand much of it. You may get a bachelor's degree, and you know not much about the degree. What I'm trying to say here, your goal should be the knowledge, the critical thinking. If you are not challenged, then you're cheating yourself. You're just wasting your time and money. Regardless, you get A, you get B, you get excellence, it doesn't really matter. All right, I don't want to go into details, but inshallah we can cover more. And then the most important thing, then we know what success is. Now we know what academic success is. The more important than all this, it's not random, like at-tasahil. No, you have to plan for success. You have to work for it. You have to have it in mind. It doesn't just come. I'll sleep, I'll go to school, and then I'll come back, I'll take the course, and then I'll do it if I don't pass. It doesn't work this way. You have to plan. And this is probably the most important thing I want, especially the students here. You have to set what we call SMART goals. I'm assuming here many people should know what we mean by SMART. If you know, you raise your hand, especially students. Yes?
So it's like goals that like can be achieved in like your set amount of time.
But I want somebody to tell me what SMART stands for. SMART is not the word smart that you know in this context. SMART stands for specific. The goal is specific. In a minute, I'll talk about that. Measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed. That's what. So, for example, my goal this week is to memorize Surah Al-Kahf. That's a SMART goal. Why? It's specific. I'm saying what I want to achieve. I'm saying when. I'm saying what specifically, right? Okay, my goal this week is to memorize Surah Al-Fatiha. Is this a SMART goal for me? No, why not? It's not relevant. I already know Surah Al-Fatiha. That's not a goal. I want to pray Fajr tomorrow. Is this a goal? No, because that's something routine. I do it. A goal is something you stretch yourself to achieve. It's like you know, if you just do things like going to the gym for the kids and just listening to music and not doing anything, are you getting anything there? No. So that's what SMART goals. Specific, measurable, I can measure it. I can say yes, I did or I didn't. Achievable, realistic, I can do it. For example, an example of unrealistic goal would be, I will memorize Quran this week, inshallah. That's not realistic. It's not going to happen. It's not a SMART goal. Meaning, yes, there is a big chance I can do it. That's what achievable means. And then, relevant. It relates to me. It's not like, you know, many parents, when we talk to parents, what is your goal? Inshallah, my son will grow up. That's not a goal. He or she will grow up anyway, regardless. That's not a goal. That shouldn't be a goal for your kid to grow up. That's not a goal at all. I want him to be educated, get a degree in education, inshallah, and get a good job. That's a goal. But a goal is not something happen like this. It's not. A goal, you have to work for it. You have to reach yourself. So I don't have much time, but if I had time, I would like all the kids here, all the kids, middle school and up, even to the college, to put a goal for themselves. And you know, their goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, even lifelong goals, right? If you don't put it, you are not going to do it. I'm telling you, it doesn't work this way. Even in the morning, when you wake up, you should plan. Today I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. You may not do all of them, but at least part of them. At least you know where you're going. You know, I always tell teachers when we train them, how many minutes I have? 2 more.
A few minutes.
Yeah. When we train teachers, I'll tell them also, if I tell you go, just, will you go? If I tell you go, you go? Huh, exactly. You say, where I go? I tell you go. You shouldn't go because you don't know where you're going. If you don't have goals, that's exactly what you're doing. If you don't have goals in everything you are aiming for, then you don't know what you're doing. Regardless, it shouldn't be at random. Okay? All right. I think about 10 minutes. Done?
Like 3 minutes.
3 more minutes? Okay, inshallah. So we agree now. We all, inshallah, after this session, want to start looking at goals. And then it's goal, you know. It's not the end of the world if I don't do it. I adjust. For example, my goal this week, I will memorize Surah Al-Kahf. Okay, it's about Thursday, I'm not done. I'll adjust. Okay, I didn't memorize it. Next week, inshallah, I'll put another goal to memorize it. But at least I tried. It's exactly when going to the gym. You want to push up 20 pounds. You couldn't. That doesn't mean it didn't work. You tried. You're a better thinker. Even though when you try to solve a problem, let's say in engineering, you try 10 hours, you don't solve it. That doesn't mean you didn't learn, right? Exactly as the gym. All right. So you adjust, and then the most important thing for you, the kids, specifically students, is the environment. Who you're working with, who you're working with. How is the environment about you? Is the environment that value education, or is just this environment that listen to music and spend 10 hours on YouTube? You don't want to be with these people. I'm not saying you don't watch, but again, you have to have a goal, right? So surround yourself with people who value education, who value deen, and so on and so forth. And set priorities. For sure, you're not going to be able to do everything. But priorities. For example, salah is the most important thing. I have to do it. If I have 5 minutes, then it's for salah. I have 10, then probably I need to read a book, or I want to do my homework, and so on and so forth. There's so many other things related to academic success. I will just mention some. Probably in the questions we'll go over some. Commitment. You have to be committed. It doesn't work at Tasahil. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then you have to be disciplined. You have to discipline yourself. Meaning, you know, it's not what I want, right? It should be what I need. So it's not, oh, I want just to relax and not study. It doesn't work this way, okay? And then support. And then the most important thing is what I call growth mindset. You have to be in a stage where if I don't improve, then I'm not doing good. In everything, in education, in religion, in work. If I'm not today better than yesterday, then that's not good. in every single thing. I'll stop here, inshallah, for the sake of time. Inshallah, we'll probably tackle more points in the question. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Ali. This thing working? Yes, it is. I think the next slide has the QR code, right?
Yes, me.
Yes, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Ali. And subhanallah, you see a lot of the things that he spoke about. SMART goals is definitely one of the most important things for us to implement in our lives, regardless of what we're trying to improve on, right? There's always this idea, like I talk to a lot of youth, right? I want to memorize more Quran. Like the goal at the end of Ramadan, man, I was so inspired by Ramadan, I want to learn Quran now. That's not really a goal. Yeah, it's a goal, but it's not specific, it's not measurable, it's not achievable, it's not relevant, it's not time bound. So you need those things in order for your goal to manifest, in order for it to actually come to fruition. So this is really important for those who are studying or for those who want to help others achieve an academic success. So just a few points I wanted to share with everyone, inshallah ta'ala. Number one, academic success starts in the home. It starts with the leaders of the home. It starts with a culture that is created. If you are a father or if you are a mother, know that the environment that you cultivate is the environment that will create or destroy the academic success. That culture is what creates everything. And it starts with following through with what we preach. Let me expound on that a little bit. Academic success isn't something that just happens. Your kid doesn't just come home one day with good grades. They don't just come home one day wanting to be better in their grades, right? I think the letter grading system maybe not represents academic success fully, because sometimes there's somebody who's a B student who really cares about their education, who has a growth mindset, meaning they're not all about the show off, meaning that when they get better, even if it's not an A, they're happy and that they're encouraged and they keep going. Sometimes that person in our society would seem less academically successful than a person who lazes around and somehow gets an A in everything, somehow gets by with everything, right? So academic success, this mindset of improvement, this mindset of I'm going to study and achieve something, isn't just something that coincidentally happens. It's a lifestyle that creates academic success. There are key decisions that parents make that create that environment. There are key habits that are fortified with discipline that create academic success. The question is, right, on the weekend, do I choose every weekend to watch TV with my family? Or do I choose a weekly time to take them to the library? Do I pray as a family at home? Or is everyone praying in their own homes the moment they're 13 years old? Such that parents are now frustrated. I don't know if my kid prays anymore. I told them to pray and it looks like they got ashy skin. They didn't do wudu, right? Or I told them to pray and they keep saying, yeah, mama, baba, I prayed. What created this? It wasn't the kid's fault. I promise you, it wasn't their fault. It's because a culture and an environment was not created to create that salah at home. It's because a culture was not created to encourage reading. And that's why kids are stuck to iPads. That's why kids are stuck to their phone. That's why they're stuck to the video game. Which all of these things, in moderation, wouldn't be a problem. There wouldn't be a problem at all. The problem is the culture, the environment was not created to cultivate, to facilitate education. And sometimes we as parents, we trust our education system too much. I'm going to put my kid in the school. They're supposed to teach him and her everything, right? And this also applies to Islamic knowledge. The culture is created at home. The success is created at home. That's where it's created. The masjid, Sunday school, I'm sorry to tell you this, is not going to give your child everything about Islam that they need to know. It's the work at home, that you bring in, as well as the added benefit of a Sunday school, of a masjid program, of community that creates a holistic human being that can give back to society. And what we're seeing today is we're frustrated with the lack of academic achievements in school, and we're also frustrated in our children's ability to connect with their faith. And the truth is, it wasn't the school's fault. The truth is, it wasn't the masjid's fault. It's because I decided that these two places are going to take care of my child's upbringing, not me. Right? So, the first point I wanted to share with everybody in regards to this, academic success starts at home. How do we live that? There's a beautiful narration that I hope will clarify this. There's a narration that Amr ibn al-As, he was a person who became Muslim at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. He was sent to speak to the king of Amman, to call him to Islam. And Amr ibn al-As decided his form of communication was going to be to tell the king of Amman what it was that inspired him to become Muslim. He says, لقد دلني على هذا النبي الأمي أنه لا يأمر بخير إلا كان أول آخذ به. The reason I became Muslim is because when this man, the Prophet, when this man would tell us to do something good, he was the first to act on it. ولا ينهى عن شر إلا كان أول تارك له. And he would never tell people to stop doing something except that he was the first to never do it. Right? And وأنه يغلب فلا يبطر. When he would win, when he would be successful or achieve something, he wouldn't gloat. ويغلب فلا يهجر. And if he did not achieve a particular goal, he wouldn't get frustrated and allow that frustration to come out in his speech. وأنه يفي بالعهد وينجز الوعد وأشهد أنه نبي. And he fulfills every promise. And I testify that he is a prophet. Think about the words. Amr ibn al-As became Muslim because the Prophet lived what he preached. He practiced what he preached. And I think sometimes when we are trying to create an environment, when we try to tell someone something, hey, read, spend less time on your TV, spend less time on your phone, spend less time on video games, do your homework, it doesn't come off the right way if the next moment I'm stuck on my phone. So the academic success starts at home. If I want someone to buy what I'm saying, I have to live what I'm saying. I myself must choose the book over the phone. I myself must choose the library over the movie theater or taking my kids to the arcade. I myself must make the conscious decisions at home to create that environment. The second thing I want to share with everybody. Don't separate between secular knowledge and Islamic knowledge. We intentionally chose the words household success. Preparing our households for academic success. Not just students. Why is this? The reason for this is that in order to create a holistic human being, in order to have a holistic education, a person must have both academia, life skills, life knowledge, but they must also have enough knowledge to function as a Muslim without you. Your child must know how to pray without you. They must be able to maintain their 5 daily prayers without you being on top, breathing down their neck. That's success. Success is not when I tell my kid to pray and they pray. That means I fell short. If my child is a teenager, 15, 16, 17, right? And they're struggling. It's indicative of not only maybe laziness on the kid's part, but maybe I didn't help them build a personal relationship with Salah, right? So it's a dual-edged sword here. The Prophet ﷺ used to make dua for beneficial knowledge. The scholars of the past did not only study Islam or only study math. Imam al-Ghazali was a polymath. He knew math, philosophy, physics, chemistry, and then he also knew Islamic sciences, Quran and Hadith. Ibn Sina, Or as the Orientalists like to call him. Anyone know what the Orientalists call him, the white people? What do they call him? Ibn Sina, what do they call him? Anyone who went to college ever seen the word Avicenna? Avicenna? That is a whitewashed version of the name Ibn Sina, the master chemist, physician. The Enlightenment period would not have happened without Ibn Sina or Ibn Rushd in Morocco. Ibn Rushd, right? These were the people, right? These were the people who knew both Islam and secular sciences. They merged the two, creating a beautiful mixture, creating an amazing human being, right? This is our history, this is our legacy, right? So sometimes we focus on academic success, we think about that which makes us money. But that doesn't, just because you can make money doesn't mean you're knowledgeable. That's not what that means. So there has to be a balance. And I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, remind everyone that no institution can replace the Islamic learning of your child for you. No Sunday school, no after school program, no halaqah. None of these things can replace it for you. The most beneficial education starts at home, when we pray together, when they know some hadith together at home, when they learn some tajweed. When at home we decided to get a Quran teacher when they're 5-6 years old, okay, alif ba ta. Right? This is what is important. Right? The Prophet ﷺ used to make dua for beneficial knowledge. And the way we can do that, by the way, a first step to this is include your children. If you want household success, household academic success, include your children in the masjid's programs. I'm not getting paid to say this, by the way. I'm talking about the free programs, the ones that are offered. Go to those programs. Take your kids there. Allow the environment to seep into them. And then inspire them at home. Learn by yourself as well. Being an expert in secular knowledge, but not being able to read a page of Quran at the age of 25 is not success. It is not success. And if you're surprised by the sentence I just said and like how could that happen, that is actually the majority case right now. The majority case right now is most people are not able to do that. And this is not to shame anybody, but this is just where we are as a Muslim community. And it's time to understand academic success holistically. It's not just math and science. It's not just the quadratic formula. It's not just calculus 2, which everyone struggles with in college, unless you're a genius. It is when you put that Islamic knowledge together and you create a beautiful mixture. The last thing I will say, last point inshallah for the sake of time, read. The very first word in the Quran was what? Iqra. What does Iqra mean? Read. The very first revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after 40 years of him living, after months of him meditating, thinking about this condition of the society, thinking about Jahiliyyah, thinking about how the society was worshipping stones and rocks, putting food in front of a stone idol. After months of meditation, Allah sends Angel Jibreel to tell him what? Read. Which Iqra doesn't just mean read on a paper. It means to educate yourself. It means to learn skills. One of the things that is dead today is reading. It's dead. It's dead. The system of reading has collapsed, and I would love if Dr. Ali could actually expound on that, inshallah, shortly. But reading is not something that happens anymore. It just doesn't. So my advice, sincere advice, take your kids to the library. Let them love reading. Let them see you not on the phone. It doesn't work when I tell the young ones, hey, you spend too much time on the phone, and then I'm on the couch and I'm on the phone. So I'll share a quick story with you. My son, he's 1.5. He's 1.5 years old. Can't speak a single word except pick me up. Well, in Urdu, it's like one word, right? Or he'll just make noises because he wants something. right? He can't speak yet. But there is something he can do. He knows how to pray. He says, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. And he'll do sajda. Like, how? Because he sees us do it. And subhanAllah, there was a time where I was tired, right? He's playing in front of me, had my phone out, right? And I'm not messing around, I'm doing some work. I'm responding to messages. He stops playing and just looks at me. Comes to my phone and now he wants it. A 1.5-year-old child has enough intelligence to know that this thing has value and will come after it if my attention's on it. Look at the salah lines in Taraweeh. The keys are on the ground, the phone's on the ground, and maybe even like a pen's on the ground. What do the kids go for? This. Because they know, they see us on it. Look at our screen time, man. It's scary. Look at your screen. Wallahi, look at your screen time. Go to your settings later on tonight. Look at your screen time. It's scary. When your kids see you with a book, then you'll see them trying to read a book upside down even when they're a kid. And they'll learn to love education and reading on their own. So I'd like to end with this, inshallah. Just, again, 3 points. Number 1, academic success starts at home, practicing what we preach. Number 2, don't separate between Islamic knowledge and secular knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge if it's beneficial. And number 3, create a culture of reading, inshallah. So I'd like to open up for we're going to start with the questions towards Dr. Ali. And if you scan the QR code, by the way, you will see you'll be able to ask questions anonymously, or you can put your name up to you. And you can also upvote other good questions if you see them. So I highly encourage everybody to scan that QR code and you can ask questions there or upvote other people's questions. Especially if there's a question that you don't want to ask out loud, you can put your question there and you can ask anonymously. So I wanted to start with some questions towards Dr. Ali, some generic questions inshallah. So I think you touched on some strategies that families can implement to support their children's academic success. But I guess from your experience, right, raising a family and also in the educational field, how can families balance religious commitments and their academic responsibilities effectively?
Jazakallah khair. I think anything that you need to succeed in, it has to come part of your life. Reading, for example, the Sheikh was talking about, extremely important to become a habit of your child. Not listening. In the language of educational language, we say there's many skills. Listening is the lowest. There's listening, reading, speaking, writing, doing, right? The top, right? And then critically thinking, evaluating stuff. The reason I say this, because nowadays I see many people, rather than reading Quran, what they do? Listen. It's not the same. Listening does not improve your critical thinking. It does not. I'm not saying it's not good. It is not equivalent whatsoever to reading. Reading is not equivalent to writing. Writing is higher. When you write, that's higher skill. And that's what we mean, as the Sheikh said, when we say read. Read, comprehend. When you read a book, you summarize it. That's what read means. Learn it. Just learn it. The other thing is, so you have to make it habit of the house. Like wird yawmi, as we say. Every day. There is, of course, the salawat, no question about them. But then I will have some time for Quran, Sunnah, Fiqh, something like this. You have to. Otherwise, you will lose it. There's something very important. And have you thought about why 17 times we do Al-Fatiha? Have you thought about it? We're humans, right? If you don't do things, I'm a mathematician. I've done so many open problems in math. If I don't do math for 3-4 months, I lose most of it. Same thing with the Quran. Same thing with your academic study. It has to be part of your... Same thing with the gym, by the way, for the kids. Just don't go to the gym for 2 months and then try after that. What will happen? Very much starting from zero, right? That's exactly same as learning. It has to be part of your life. It has to be. And then the other thing for the household, it has to be a commitment from everybody in the family. The kids, the dad, the mom, the environment, the friends. I don't want my son to go, I'm telling him everything and we do everything at home, and then when he go and camp at some camps, they don't pray. then basically we did nothing, right? I want to keep the environment around me, around my kids, the same. So it's part of the life. Reading, or again, Quran, Sunnah, Fiqh, and also the other things that we do for the dunya, like the school thing, right? Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khairan for that. Are y'all able to hear me clearly on this? Or no? Is it loud? It's not too loud. Okay. Bismillah. The next question we had actually was, can you explain a little bit why is reading important? Because you explained how it's writing is higher. What is so important about reading that you've noticed as your role in UNT?
Right.
How is that important?
So let me just give you for the students. When you do SAT, what does SAT measure? No, I just want to convince you without even explaining the educational piece of it. It measures reading and comprehension, right? Writing and math, done. Regardless of what you're going to go to study in the university, that's what they measure for you when you want to enter a college, correct? A good college, right? Right? How do they decide in Harvard if they're going to admit you? SAT, ACT. Just look at these exams. Most of you probably done them. What are they? Mostly reading and comprehension, piece of writing, and then basic mathematics, done. Because that's what you need as basis, as seeds for the critical thinking. And just I challenge you, now go home tonight and try to read. And when I say read, I mean comprehend, not just read. Read means comprehend. And after comprehend, you apply. I'm not going to go into the academic details. And then you analyze, right? And then you create. I'm not saying you go to the level of creation, but at least the comprehension. And then part of what the brother said earlier, being able to do it again. And that's where the memorization of Quran comes, the understanding, being able to say it again, being able to do it again. That's where the critical thinking piece of come. And that's, as the Sheikh said earlier, that's what we really as a community miss. And that's why we are where we are in my opinion. The lack of reading as a culture in our society is a disaster. Really. I'm not going to tell you statistics about how many books people, I'm not talking about, forget academics. How many people in general, how many books people read in a year? Not how many pages, how many books. I'm not talking about even in the discipline, general books, useful knowledge, as the Sheikh said. Because that's the way you improve your critical thinking. Think of yourself as your muscles when you go to the gym. For the kids, that's exactly the same. If you don't use this, it's gonna sleep. If you don't use your mind, it's gonna sleep. Exactly as the muscle, exactly the same, right? So if you don't read, you don't comprehend, you don't analyze, you don't challenge yourself, then your ability in critical thinking and problem solving, remember, that's the ultimate goal of education. That's why we learn to be a better thinker, to be a problem solver, to be a communicator. That's the whole point. That we call them education learning outcomes. Okay? So it's extremely important. Please remember this. Reading, and by reading I mean comprehension.
So, a common question, Doctor, that the people have is, especially since COVID happened, a lot of learning has moved onto a virtual platform. A lot of it is online, a lot of it is on the computer. And we all know that the danger of devices, right? We all see the danger of device, iPad, phone, addictions developing in young kids, and now they're not able to sit still in the class anymore. Attention span goes down. So how do we, in the society we live in, leverage the devices and technology we have for the purpose of education without falling into the trap of giving our kids too much technology so that it becomes a distraction again? How do you balance that?
Jazakallah khair. You see the important point that's now in academia, even we use it, addiction. These phones, what addiction? If you think about it like drugs addiction or something you can't live without, right? That's basically what it is, right? And if you just assess yourself, you will probably find yourself with this, is that, right? The issue with this, it's appropriate use of this is good and in fact needed. We have now all al-Bukhari here and al-Quran and all here. Before, probably the one young few, you don't remember this. We used to go spend hours to find a topic. Hours in the library to find just a book and a topic. Now, in 1 second. So it's all useful. But you need appropriate use. appropriate use of it. Don't feel just stay on it. Then you're wasting your time. And I'm telling you, I told you before, listening does not improve your critical thinking, period. To anything. Listening to Quran is not like reading Quran. Listening to a book is not like reading the book, because there are so many. It's not the same. It's not, I'm telling you. So that's what you need. Take it out. Why do you have to stay on this? I'm not saying don't use it, but make for the good. Don't stay on it. And for parents, please, it's not good for the kids. It's not, there's so many research, I don't want to get into academics, that how people writing is getting bad because of this. How people comprehension is getting because of this. This is not my words. This is research. MIT at one point, they entertained not using texting on campus because of this. Because texting, when you text, you don't use English, you just phrases, right? And that's what happens now. I'm just giving you some examples in academia, and there are more. So please, appropriate use of technology, that's what you need. I'm not saying don't use, but don't stay hours and hours. You're just wasting your time. That's basically, you're just wasting your time that you will be asked about it in the day of judgment. Period. That's what it is.
SubhanAllah. Just as a personal anecdote, something that I've been reading a lot lately, a lot of the books of self-purification of the heart, they talk about how one of the most dangerous things is empty time, waqtul faragh, and filling up, and it's also one of the biggest blessings, right? That the Prophet ﷺ tells us to take advantage of, your free time. So when you fill it in with toxic material, you become a toxic entity to everyone around you, a ball of ignorance. That everywhere you go, ignorance spreads, right? And that is dangerous. And on a personal note, subhanAllah, again, I don't want this to be all doom and gloom talk. The reason we're here is to improve, to learn more. But something I've encountered as a teacher, and I'm saying this as a teacher who's been teaching 7 years now, attention span has gone down. People's ability to write. I'm asking kids that are 11, 12 years old to give me after a 1 hour lesson or a few weeks of lessons, give me one thing you learned the past week. Something like,
Same at
Islam
college.
is cool.
Same at college.
Prophet Muhammad is awesome. It's like, you learn nothing else, subhanAllah. And when a 14-year-old spells focus with FOCES, it becomes an issue. It does, and I think it's one of those things that we as parents, honestly, we need to wake up to. Because I think that a lot of us, we sacrificed a lot to make sure that our kids could be educated here, right? For many of you, you weren't born, raised here. You moved here. And you're thinking that, okay, I made it to this land. Now the education is good. Well, not necessarily. There have been strategic changes in the reading curriculum throughout the years that is making it almost impossible for our kids to read at an appropriate level. So I wanted to share that based off what Dr. Ali was mentioning. One of the things I wanted to ask you, because now we're talking about growth in education, one of the difficulties is in a culture of instant gratification, right? Pick up a phone, the moment you click something, a green light pops out, everything's really nice. Learning becomes all the more difficult because it's a slow process. It's not instant. So a lot of our kids over here, they'll get frustrated, even if they're really skilled, they're really good at what they do. The moment they don't get a perfect score, a perfect grade, they get very down on themselves and they're not able to move forward anymore. How would you deal with that?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. This is extremely important. That's what I meant by discipline when I talked about it. It's an issue, I'm telling you. If you think about the word research as a word, research, what does this mean? Search again, right? This is how knowledge created. This is how we create knowledge. You search, you keep searching, and then new knowledge comes in, and then you do it again, and you do it again. This means what? It takes time. Exactly as the muscle. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So you need to, and it's a training. If you don't get used to it, you are not going to be able to do it. It's exactly like driving. Can you become a driver by looking at somebody who drives? Right? Can you become a swimmer without really train yourself to be a swimmer? Swim, right? Can you? You have to do it. You have to sit on the table and you have to get used to it. One of the things, nowadays what's an issue, and it's getting worse and worse in academia also, everywhere because of the technology. We give sometimes math problems to teachers to solve. These are teachers, they are not kids. Barely 1 minute on a problem. Oh, I can't do this, impossible. They can't even sit to think. I'm not asking you even to solve it. I'm asking you to think about it. Not even to solve it. And you are not even able to sit and think. So the reason I'm saying this, you need to train yourself. It's a challenge. It's exactly going to the gym. You want to, it's not like something relaxing. I'm telling you something. If you are relaxed, you're not learning. Period. Wherever you're doing. If you are relaxed, you're cheating yourself. Another point I want to mention that the kids always say, what are you doing? Nothing. That is not good stage to be doing nothing or to be just wasting your time. Just pay attention to this thing, training. Today I was able to sit 5 minutes, tomorrow 6 minutes. After a month, 20 minutes. That's the way you learn. You are not gonna find good jobs if you're just relaxing. It's not gonna happen. I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen. You have to train yourself to. I'm not gonna give. I myself, speaking to you, sometimes spend a year to solve one math problem. 1 year, and others spend more. I'm not asking this, but that's the way you achieve. Okay? Please, this is extremely important. Commitment and discipline. You have to be able to sit and think. Even if you don't solve the problem, you didn't lose. Again, it's exactly as going to the gym. The goal is to raise 20 pounds, but you didn't. That doesn't mean your muscles didn't get better. They did, but you are not there yet. Jazakallah khair.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. One of the popular questions in this regard is parents are often confused how much involvement should we have in our children's education, and what does that look like? Because if you go to the public school system, right, sometimes too much involvement is looked down upon. No involvement is looked down upon. What is that balance, and how do we do that?
Right. This is extremely important, I hope, for the parents. First, caring is important. You care about your kids. And this is, as the Sheikh said, the most common number one mistake when they do surveys that parents do. It's the extreme, too. Either they want to control their kids about how they want to learn or what they want to learn, or they don't care. You as a parent, you want to be what we call in education a facilitator, a monitor. You care. My son, I'm not gonna manage him about how to think and how to write, but I want to make sure that he is doing it. When you have a question, I want to make sure that I can help him, not solve it for him, help him. So too much of it, they become dependable. Once they go to the real life, they can't do it. It's a problem. Also, keeping them by themselves, it's another problem. So it's really a balance where you work as a monitor. And again, sometimes you don't know, you need to ask. You need to ask Sheikh, you need to ask school, the supervisor, somebody who knows this stuff. Otherwise, they will be lost. It's amana, as we all know, right? So not too much. Again, it's a balance. What is that balance? Depends on the kids. For me, I want to know that they have wird yawmi in academia, they have wird yawmi in Quran, they pray. Not to that control, but I want to know that this is happening, right? Not also with no play. No, it's fine to play. It's fine to go with their friends as long as I know these are good friends and things like that. So it's really a balance. Please, this is extremely important. Remember, we're talking about basically inducing an environment, a habit. It doesn't happen overnight. Remember, learning is a process. It's not a step. It's not a step. It's a process. Remember the word research I told you. Research. That's the way knowledge is. It doesn't happen overnight. And if it did happen, then you are not learning. I'm telling you. You are going to forget it after tomorrow. So remember that. It's just balance. You want the kids to be dependable by themselves, but you are monitoring them. It's exactly like advisor. When you have an advisor at college, he will ask you, go and work on it. When you are challenged, you go back to him. What do I do? Same thing with the parents. Jazakallah khair.
Inshallah, by the way, we're gonna pause for Maghrib at 8:40 to 8:40, inshallah, so about 12 minutes from now, and we'll use that opportunity between now and then for the questions, inshallah. So I'll just read some of the questions out to you. The first question is for you. If someone doesn't know what they want to be in the future, what is your advice to them?
A very common question. So whoever asks, don't be scared. 45%, this is research, not me, of the students in college change their major more than 2 times. It's okay. In fact, the education system is built on this thing, meaning you don't know yet what you want. The people who are in college can talk to this. There's something called core courses. Course in math, course in English, course in political science, course in communication, that you have to take in your first 1.5 years or so. 44 hours in Texas. That will give you a taste of everything, and then you will go. That's first thing. So it's not a problem at all. It's not a problem at all. And it's in fact very common. And you can ask my kids here. They will ask me, I want to do this. Okay. I have faced so many students. I want to major in math. Once they take a certain classes in math, they never thought that math is like this. They will quit, switch. I want to do computer science because, okay, they take the first class, second class, they quit because they didn't think the computer science is like this, and so on. So it's normal. What you need is to have the growth mindset and just go try. The system is built for you to try. That's the way the system is. It's not like, hey, I want to be a mathematician. I took calculus, I couldn't, done deal. No, you didn't do calculus. You may be able to computer science, and the calculus course you took will be counted for you in another major. So it's common. The other thing is also seek advice. Like go to advisors. For example, many people come to us saying, and then there's certain questions. In fact, there's some apps nowadays. Do you like this? Are you good at this? Do you like sitting behind the table? Do you like talking to people? Questions that will direct you somehow. Or maybe you're good for, I don't know, political science, or you're good for medicine, or you're good. So, not at all a problem. In fact, you are with the majority when you don't know what you want to major. I'm not saying you should be in that category. Exploring. Keep exploring. Expose yourself to workshops, to people in the discipline, right? Go to a professor, ask how a life as a professor is. To a doctor, how physician is. To somebody in the communication. And see, is this something I want to be? Because the last thing you want to be in a major, just one more thing related to this. In order to choose a major, you have to consider so many things. One of the most important thing is to be realistic. First, you have to be good at it because you have to compete, right? Not barely passing. You have to be good at it, right? Second, you have to like it because that's where you spend 50% of your time. If you don't like mathematics, you don't want to be a mathematician. If you don't like engineering, you don't want to be an engineer because that's where you spend 8 hours a day, right? Right. Also, you have to be realistic. The job you're thinking of, it has to bring you some good income because at the end, you're human. You want to live. You don't want to major in, I'm just naming, philosophy, for example, which is good. But when they come to me, I want to do philosophy. Well, only you want to do a master or PhD? No, just bachelor. Okay, you're not going to find a job, period. So it's not good. You see what I'm saying? So be realistic. Think about all this stuff. Not that I like philosophy, I want to be a philosopher. No. Because at the end, you're not going to find a good job with only bachelor in philosophy. Right? Just philosophy as an example. Sorry.
That's really, no. What you said is, it reminds me, like, I thought you were going to say art instead of philosophy. I feel like you stayed away from that one. But, subhanAllah, I feel like we should offer Dr. Ali's personal number to everyone over here who's struggling with Calc 2 afterwards, Calculus 2. He'll help personally with your problem. Hopefully not a year for the questions though, inshallah. Barakallah feek. So, one question here is, if someone is shy by nature, what should they do to improve their communication skills? I like to answer this one because I think this is really funny. Many of y'all think over here that I'm an extrovert. I am not. I'm the biggest introvert you could ever imagine in your life. But do I look that way? No. I don't look that way. Many people think I'm I'm outgoing, but that doesn't mean I'm an extrovert, right? So communication is a skill. It takes time. You learn it over time. And being shy does not mean that you will not improve your communication skills. Being shy and not willing to talk is going to be the thing that that stunts your growth. And I think in today's society, it's easy to be somebody who does not know how to communicate. Because, if I can't live in the outside world, I'm going to live on my phone and my computer. And I'll post on Reddit and Twitter, and people think I have a personality, but when they meet me in person, I can't string 2 sentences together, right? So in today's society, we can kind of fake our social aura, if you will. But in real life, that's not going to work out. So if you're shy, to improve your communication skills, what do? Just be willing to talk. Right? Be willing to communicate with people. Be willing to go out.
Stay away
even in
from
public.
this.
Yeah, stay off of this. Yes, because this will only encourage you to be more shy. It'll encourage. By the way, shyness is not a bad thing, by the way. To me, shyness is something Allah put in you, and that's a personality trait, and that's valuable actually, because shy people have, their own value they bring. So, improving communication skills. Just be willing to talk and don't live in a virtual world. The next question.
Just to add,
yes, please.
if that student in the college, regardless of what your major, whoever asked the question, there's a course in every college called public speaking. I advise you to take it as an elective. It will help you improve your communication skills. Also, communication doesn't mean just talking. Sometimes sitting, how to sit is communication. How to be professional. When we say communication, doesn't mean, hey, you're loud and you're fighting. It's not that at all. When I say communication skills, right? Writing is communication. In fact, the most important communication nowadays is writing, because that's the way you want to communicate, right? So, extremely important. But again, it's a process. To get out of this and start talking. Remember, when you are watching this, your tongue is not working. Only your eye is working. That's where the problem is. That's why our kids nowadays, even youth, how are you? Alhamdulillah. That's it. The question is like 20 words. Their answer is 2 words at the most. That's a problem. That was not the case 20 years ago. How are you? Alhamdulillah, Allah, I'm doing good. My dad is here and we're having good time. That was the answer. Nowadays, how are you? They're good if even they say Alhamdulillah. They might say like this, right? This is mostly because of this. Jazakallah.
Okay, one of the other questions that we have is, how can a person stop procrastination for both academic and personal goals? Okay.
What is that again?
How can a person stop procrastination for both academic and personal goals? It's a tough one.
Again, it just depends. It really, but it's, remember, it depends on what you want. I'm not saying you are a failure if you are not successful academic. No, I remember when I started, I said, what is success? Right? We're just happen to talk today about academic success. That doesn't mean you're not successful if you are not good at school. We're never saying that. But we're just discussing by chance, because the school is about to open, academic success. However, there are base knowledge that everyone needs to know. That's what core competences in order to function as a professional human being. That's what you need, right? So it's extremely important. You have to learn. It's a process. You have to get yourself disciplined. It's not about the money. It's not just go and look at your friends. Even if you have $2 billion, you still need to be educated. You need to know how to communicate. It's not worth anything if you don't have the core competences in life. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful. Communication is everything. And I'll take this opportunity to plug in one of my teacher's books, When Hearing Becomes Listening. He didn't ask me to say this, but a book by Sheikh Mikhail Ahmed Smith, When Hearing Becomes Listening. Everything's about communication. Everything's about communication. If someone's not going to be willing to hire you, if you're great at what you do, but you're just a terrible person to work with, it's a disaster trying to have a conversation with the person. So, very important. There are a few more questions here, inshallah. We're going to try doing as many as we can until 8:40, then we're going to have to cut off for salah. So, what is the best way to memorize the Quran? I'm currently on just 30, 29, 28. I want to move on, but I can't because I procrastinate so much, too much. Number 1, SMART goals. Number 2, you need a teacher. If you do not have a teacher, then you are going down the wrong path. مَنْ لَا شَيْخَ لَهُ فَشَيْخُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ. That's what they say. Whoever has no teacher, their teacher is shaitan. For Quran particularly, you need a teacher. YouTube is not a teacher. Online can be a teacher. The ideal is to have someone you know, whether online or in person, ideal, that is teaching you. And this will help you stop procrastination. Honestly, if you have SMART goals and you have a teacher, you're good to go. But the most important step is the teacher, inshallah. For myself, do you have any specific Islamic books you recommend for younger readers? Yes. Every single young Muslim needs a personal relationship with who the Prophet ﷺ is. The fact that I'm speaking to young folks and I say, what do you know about Mecca and Medina? I'm like, and they say, aren't those like cities somewhere? It's like, whoa. Okay, what about this companion? Wasn't that a prophet? No, that was not a prophet. That was a companion, right? So there's a general gap in our connection with the Prophet and the companions. And there is a really good book I recommend, The Sealed Nectar. The Sealed Nectar, or in Arabic, Ar-Rahiq al-Makhtum. The Sealed Nectar. It has maps, it has graphs, it has names and lineages and pictures of the places in real life. It's a book of the life of the Prophet, and it's a very easy read. A child can read this. A very enjoyable read, a very inspiring read. It reads as a narrative. So inshallah, that's what I recommend. The Sealed Nectar for young people, inshallah. Okay, we have time for one more question, inshallah. I'd like you to choose, scroll which question you'd like to answer.
Any question, fine.
Sure. Let's do the top one then.
Yeah. Unless it's math question, maybe it's not a good question.
As parents, how do we balance homework, after school activities, Islamic studies, Arabic lessons while kids are already exhausted after school? Like we're pushing our kids too much. So what is the solution to that?
Yeah, time management. You know, time management is something extremely important, and again, it's training. And I know this, like sometimes. Also, the other thing is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam لما قال جعلت بركة أمتي في البكور. Even in the weekend, I don't know how people sleep after Fajr. I don't know this. I don't know how. You know, I'm giving you an example of myself. I go to my office right after Fajr. I do 70% of the work before 90% come to campus. I go, let's say, before 7, I'm already in my office. Nobody, no calls, no one stops. By 9, that's where people start coming to campus. I'm almost done. 2 hours, nobody is talking to you. Same thing in the morning. The other thing is your brain is fresh. You're wasting your time when you're sleeping in the morning. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. That's very important. Extremely important. Again, it's a training. After Isha, sleep. At Fajr, wake up and then continue. That's important. The best time the brain works, I know people are different, but I'm talking about the majority, is in the morning. That's when you think very well. That's why if you look at the courses that need a lot of thinking, it's in the morning, like math, computer science, programming. You will see most of them are done in the morning on purpose, right? So that's time management. Use your time, and believe me, just cut 50% of what you spend on the phone. You will have a lot of time. Just challenge yourself, 50%, and you will have a lot of time. Jazakallah.
SubhanAllah. You know, as my sheikh says, just sleep, bro. He literally says it. He says, just sleep, bro. Meaning, the reason that people can't be productive, they don't sleep on time.
Yeah.
2, 3 a.m. Then they can't wake up on time. Then they sleep in, and they're like, where'd my day go? Right? So if your kids are feeling exhausted 9 times out of 10, they're not sleeping. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to have academically successful households, both in our deen, both in our dunya, and our akhirah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I'd like to personally thank Dr. Ali for sacrificing his time, taking out from his very busy schedule to be here. We're going to pause for Maghrib now, inshallah. And so we're just going to have adhan and iqamah done at the same time, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair.